If I don't count ensemble or supporting appearance, it has been almost 17 years since Marvel assigned a new game to Wolverine, so you can imagine the excitement among the fans for what is easily one of the most anticipated games of the year, Marvel's Wolverine. I am thrilled about this one because it is developed by Insomniac Games, the same studio behind the hit Marvel Spider-Man series, and I am really impressed by the teaser footage that has been released. Not only does it offer a visually enriching and slick gameplay experience, the game has also promised a variety of characters, and some of the most notorious Wolverine villains. In this video, let me quickly run you through all these familiar antagonists, and how they can impact the game narrative. Nathaniel Essex, aka Mr. Sinister, primary antagonist. I don't think Nathaniel Essex needs any introduction for all the X-Men fans out there. He has always been a huge nuisance for the X-Men, and what I find particularly special about him is that while mutants like Magneto and Apocalypse are very clear and upfront about their goals, Mr. Sinister stays in the shadows. He was first announced as the employer behind the team of assassins called Marauders from the Mutant Massacre storyline, and his evil show has continued ever since. He almost works like an effective slow-moving virus, and it is nearly impossible to shake him off. Sinister has a long history of horrible atrocities, and the worst thing that he has done over time is probably manipulating the good mutants into doing awful things. I still remember the time when Gambit went to him fearing that his powers are growing beyond his control, and while promising to help Gambit, Mr. Sinister made him do something that would haunt him forever. Nathaniel Essex is the leader of Team X who secretly plans to use the Helix engines to forcibly activate mutant genes worldwide as preparation for Apocalypse's return. He has always been dubbed as the final boss of the game, and even though the trailer hasn't featured him directly, a few crucial leaks have confirmed his presence in the game as the main villain. His story from the X-Men lore makes it clear that his life changed after discovering the presence of ensemble or Apocalypse. They both have similar goals in perfecting the world and humanity, which brings about an unholy alliance. I expect to see his ruthless evil persona to play out in the gameplay, and as one of the primary antagonists, he will be one hell of a challenge for Wolverine. Sabretooth, Victor Creed, the personal nemesis. I cannot think of a Wolverine game without the presence of Sabretooth, because nobody fits the definition of Logan's arch-nemesis more than Victor Creed, aka Sabretooth. There are different origin stories for Sabretooth, and depending on which one you follow, he is either the long-lost brother of Logan, or father and son, or simply members of the same subspecies of mutants. I see Sabretooth as a bigger and meaner version of Wolverine, and his strength is more than a match for Wolverine. His real name is Victor Creed, and his memories have been tampered with by the likes of Weapon X to such an extent that nothing about his past life is credible. There are stories about him killing his brother Luther Creed over a piece of pie, following which his father kept him chained in the basement like an animal. Eventually, he chewed off his own hand to escape and murdered his father. His hateful relationship with Logan also goes back a long way. There was a time when Sabretooth tracked down Logan in Canada and seemingly killed his lover, Silver Fox, on his birthday. The shared history of working together once doesn't make their rivalry any less, and the two have been at each other's throats for a very long time now. In the game, I have a feeling that we will see Sabretooth at the center of the conflict in some way or the other. Yes, he might not be the final boss or the dreaded enemy that we are familiar with, because it has been revealed that he is fighting alongside Logan for some reason. Maybe the threat is so big that the two have decided to bury their intense hate for each other for a common goal. Omega Red, Arkady Rossovich, the KGB super soldier. Arkady Rossovich, better known as Omega Red, is a mysterious figure with very little known about his background. We just know that he is a serial killer who was born in Soviet Russia, and he was later captured by Interpol agent Sean Cassidy and turned over to the KGB. He was then experimented upon by the KGB in their effort to create a super soldier like Captain America. There is another version of the story that portrays him as a psychotic soldier in the Soviet army who was caught by his fellow soldiers for the murders that he committed. He was executed with a gunshot to the back of his head, but when he survived this, he was recommended for the Super Soldier program. Each of his arms were fitted with a retractable carbonadium coil, and Omega Red can wrap others in his coils to drain them of their life energy. However, this also poisoned him slowly, which made him need the carbonadium synthesizer, a device that was stolen by Wolverine, Maverick, and Sabretooth during their mission as Team X. You can see he is the bizarre mirror image of Wolverine, but instead of a healing factor, he has a doom factor that is caused by spores that are lethal to his body. Over the years, Omega Red has had numerous run-ins with Wolverine, including the time when Wolverine stabbed him in the heart. I can totally see why he fits into the gameplay lore perfectly. You can see Omega Red in combat footage, and this is exciting for the fans, because it brings one of Wolverine's deadliest comic book enemies into the game. Once again, I don't think he will be one of the primary antagonists, but you can expect some memorable appearances across the gameplay. Mystique, Raven Darkholme, the shape-shifting wildcard. I consider Mystique to be one of the most recognizable faces in the X-Men lore, and she is nearly as popular as some of the mutant heroes. Of course, the game developers don't make the mistake of missing out on her for Marvel's Wolverine. She was born as Raven Darkholme a long time in the US, and her mutant ability is to shapeshift into anyone she wants to. She doesn't just resemble their appearance, but also perfectly mimics their voice and mannerisms, which makes it almost impossible to detect her as an imposter. As you would expect, she is a world-class spy because of her abilities, and she is also a very effective assassin that has been observed on various instances. What makes her a must-have in the game is probably her shared history with Wolverine. While her origins are largely mysterious, it is suggested that just like Wolverine, she has enhanced longevity, and she has lived for over 100 years. The two have several stories together where they fight each other or even team up for certain missions. In the comic book storyline titled Wolverine Get Mystique, the two even have a steamy romance for a while. And such shared history makes her an integral part of the gameplay narrative. She can use her shape-shifting powers to pose as a member of the organization that seems to be hunting Wolverine, and this fits into her skill sets just fine. But there is a good chance that Mystique is actually fighting the same enemies as Wolverine, and she might be an ally as well. Of course, with a character like her, betrayal is always around the corner, because she is not going to offer her help without some exterior motive. Donald Pierce, leader of the Reavers. If you have watched the trailer footage, you already know that the Reavers play a crucial role in the game, and I will come to that next in this video. But you cannot have the Reavers without their leader, Donald Pierce, can you? He was an industrialist who was first introduced as a high-ranking member of the Hellfire Club Inner Circle, and he held the position of White Bishop. During his first encounter with the X-Men, Wolverine nearly tore off his arm, and it was discovered that he was actually a cyborg. He stayed in hiding for a while, but his urge for revenge against the X-Men was always there. Donald Pierce created an army of cyborgs from low-life thugs and a few mercenaries, and this group was known as the Reavers. Since then, he has mounted several offensives against the mutants, and I think we are in for something similar in the video game as well. He will be the leader of the Reavers as hired guns for Bolivar Trask, and I guess he will be the one directing all the mutant capture operations across the game's locations. In the X-Men lore, Donald Pierce has proved to be someone who can withstand a lot of damage. There was a time when he was nearly destroyed by the Sentinels, and he continued his work by starting an anti-mutant hate group and conducting militant actions against mutants. Strictly on paper, he is almost as strong as Wolverine, even though the latter has defeated him on various occasions. And I think a defining moment for the character comes when it is revealed that Donald Pierce has little to no human tissue in his body, indicating his completely cyborg origin. The Reavers, cybernetic anti-mutant militia. I have already given you a fair idea about the Reavers while discussing about Donald Pierce, but let me dive into the details this time. The Reavers are basically a group of cybernetic criminals who came together because of a shared bond and goals, which was to get revenge on the X-Men, especially Weapon X and Wolverine. They had to regroup after attacking the X-Men during their Outback and Beyond era in the late 80s, and they were reformed under the leadership of Donald Pierce, who even augmented his own body with cybernetic enhancements. They have had numerous run-ins with the X-Men over the years, and they have allied themselves with some famous villains like future Sentinel Bastion and the mutant-killing fanatics called the Purifiers. The Reavers have also been closely associated with Lady Deathstrike, and I think it is safe to assume that she will also feature in the game. The game's trailer footage shows a Reaver named Skullbuster, and you can be sure that others like Pretty Boy and Bonebreaker will also be there to pose trouble for Wolverine. That being said, despite their cybernetic enhancements, they usually fall short when it comes to matching the ferocity and battle skills of Wolverine. Nevertheless, it will be pretty cool to see these elite mercenaries in action. Bolivar Trask, the financier of hate. Well, the Reavers program might be led by Donald Pierce, but it doesn't run without funding, and Bolivar Trask is the chief financier of hate. He started off as a renowned scientist and robotics expert from South Dakota, but he was soon concerned by the rise of superpowered individuals. Bolivar Trask was strongly motivated by a desire to protect humanity, and in this endeavor he became a hate-filled innovator to control the mutant issue. His vision of a safer world meant that the mutants and similar superpowered individuals would be eliminated, and for this he put all his wealth and research into the study. Ironically enough, his own son Larry Trask developed mutant powers, but that didn't stop his motivation. Eventually he became a billionaire industrialist who funded the Reavers and the Sentinel programs to capture and experiment on mutants. In the game, while we haven't seen him yet, he is surely going to be a part of the villains scheming against the X-Men and Wolverine. After all, he is the one who is after the mutants that Wolverine and Jean Grey are rescuing in the trailer footage. In fact, some of the henchmen that they take out in the rescue attempt have Trask written across their uniform, and it couldn't get any more evident. I am also quite certain about the inclusion of Sentinels in the game in a major role, which brings me to my next point. The Sentinels, Prime Sentinels, mutant hunting machines. I don't think that the Sentinels need any introduction for the X-Men fans as one of the deadliest opponents that our mutant superheroes ever encounter. They are mutant hunting robots, and several types of Sentinels have been introduced across the X-Men lore. They are programmed to locate and hunt down mutants or capture them, and only a few of them are capable of independent thinking. They are dangerous because they are technologically advanced and have a wide range of abilities from flight, insane physical strength, and their energy weapons and restraining devices. They are also incredibly durable and resistant to damage inflicted on them. And what is especially scary about Sentinels is how they can just learn from their experience and develop their defenses accordingly. Some Sentinels can also alter their physical forms and reassemble themselves after being destroyed, which means that Wolverine will have his task cut out in the gameplay. Now, traditionally, the Sentinels are a few stories tall and are extremely skilled fighters, but we have seen them in all sizes. For instance, the gameplay footage gives us a glimpse of a normal person-sized Sentinel, and I am sure we will get the giant ones in action as well. Of course, you cannot mistake the massive Sentinel that caps off the trailer for the game. Also, the big guy that we see holding Wolverine in a chokehold looks awfully similar to Prime Sentinel, as seen in X-Men 97. For those who don't know, the Prime Sentinels are humans who are infected by nanites, turning them into sleeper agents who can be activated to become mutant hunting cyborgs at any given moment. The Hand, ancient ninja crime organization. The Hand is often described as a supervillain organization, but I think this doesn't describe it fully. This is basically an order of evil ninjas who direct criminal and mercenary activities, especially assassination. They are based out of Japan, but they operate all over the world. The Hand serves a primordial demon named Karlach, and this is also called the Beast of the Hand. So the members of the Hand are practitioners of occult magic, and they can even murder a person and then resurrect him as a servant of the organization. Previously, the Hand has appeared in X-Men Origins Wolverine, the video game, and now the Sinister organization is all set to appear in Marvel's Wolverine. We have already learned that the Hand features quite prominently in the game, and I believe that might be involved with the kidnapping and trafficking of mutants that Wolverine must rescue. They will serve as a dominant antagonistic force during the game's Japan chapter. They might have something to do with stealing the Helix engine to steal and weaponize mutant powers. I am expecting some solid combat sequences featuring them, and what makes this showdown all the more interesting is the comic book story, where Wolverine was once brainwashed by the Hand in the comics. Ogun, the Tokyo ninja mentor turned enemy. The appearance of Ogun in the game narrative might just bring in an unexpected emotional turn for Wolverine. This is the man who used to be a ninja who once trained Wolverine as his mentor. Ogun was also a strong telepath, and whatever little we have seen of his fighting skills tells me that he's more than a match for Wolverine in terms of strength and agility. He met Wolverine during the 1930s when he was a part of the Japanese Imperial Army, and Logan used to be a sailor back in those days. Ogun was impressed by Logan's bravery and trained him in martial arts, even though Logan initially rejected the offer. In fact, he is the one who taught Wolverine to balance his human side and his animalistic side in order to become a great warrior. It was later revealed that Ogun had learned how to beat death, and he became so obsessed with mystic arts that he went to explore the dark side. He was corrupted, and by then Logan had left as well. Eventually, Ogun joined the Yakuza as one of the main enforcers, and fate put him in Wolverine's path once again. He went from being a trusted mentor to a bitter enemy after he used his ability to possess and hijack Kitty Pryde's body, until she could resist his influence. From whatever we have learned about his appearance in the game, Ogun is going to be there with all his mind-controlling abilities, and he will be one of the primary villains in the Tokyo arc. We have already seen his appearance as a ninja wearing a demon mask, and it is beyond a doubt Ogun. There is a chance that he might be the leader of the Hand in the story. I really look forward to seeing him face off against his former student one more time. Silver Samurai, the Tokyo Clan boss. I know the presence of Silver Samurai is not officially confirmed for Marvel's Wolverine, but given the Japan setting of the game, it is almost guaranteed. After all, Silver Samurai is Wolverine's primary Japanese villain, and I cannot see the gameplay go without including him. In fact, if the game includes Mariko Yashida, Wolverine's lover, then Silver Samurai is her half-brother, and a certainty for the narrative. His original name is Kenichiro Harada, and he is the mutant illegitimate son of the former Japanese crime lord Shingen Harada. He gets his name because he has mastered the attendant disciplines of the medieval samurai, and he first became a warrior for hire. He has clashed with Daredevil, but some of his fiercest rivalry is still with Wolverine. Silver Samurai is a force to reckon with, and when he appears in the game, you can expect him to wield his iconic tachyon-charged katana. I am more curious to see how his clan Yashida ties plays out in this game, and there couldn't be a better giveaway than the Japanese setting. Apocalypse, the looming endgame threat. Marvel's Wolverine is going to have a sequel hook without a doubt, and this is where Apocalypse comes into the narrative. While he might not be a direct part of the game or the boss fights in store for Wolverine, he is still the true force behind Essex's entire agenda, which is revealed in the final act of the game as the reason Essex needed the Helix engine and the global mutant activation in the first place. Maybe the next game will be created focused entirely on Apocalypse as the primary villain, because that is what his legacy is like in the X-Men lore. This ancient mutant warrior was born in ancient Egypt thousands of years ago, and he is one of the immortal mutants known as the Externals. He was forced into slavery, but his incredible powers allowed him to turn on his masters and conquer anything that stood in his way. With time, Apocalypse developed the extreme philosophy of mutant supremacy and survival of the fittest, where only the strong deserve to survive and weakness should be destroyed. His history with the X-Men is long and violent, and he is probably one of the deadliest opponents that Wolverine can ever come up against. I have a feeling that the game will end with the foreshadowing that he is the one pulling the strings from the shadows, and wouldn't that be one hell of a teaser for the sequel? Lady Deathstrike. I have already told you about the role of the Reavers in the narrative, and I am quite certain that you will also see Lady Deathstrike in action at some point. She might even be one of the eventual boss fights, and she deserves the honor as a skilled assassin with a strong hate for Wolverine. She is known for the adamantium bonding that leaves her with these large and deadly talons, and you can expect to see them put to good use as she takes on Wolverine. She is obsessed with Wolverine, who, according to her, has been unrightfully enhanced with adamantium. And this grudge against Wolverine is what turned Yuriko Oyama into Lady Deathstrike in the first place. I know that these are still early days, but Marvel's Wolverine is already showing a lot of promise. The gameplay looked terrific, and I would be extremely disappointed if it doesn't turn out to be one of the best Marvel games of all time. The villains roster, the interesting choice of characters, and an intriguing story featuring the iconic Wolverine all point to a massive hit. And maybe this is going to be the era of Marvel's reawakening, both in terms of movies and video games. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this upcoming video game, and also tell me about your favorite villain from the list. Also, if you appreciate the efforts to bring you this content, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more such videos.